I show that it is just at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to start with a roll call. I'm Belinda Puska, and I'm here, and Rose Thompson.
Present.
Mr. Donald Nimick. Let the record show that Donald is not here yet, and I'll let you know when he does join us. Dr. Francis White.
Here.
And Mr. Robert Clemens.
Here.
Okay. Thank you. It's a beautiful day, and we have a lot of exciting items that are in front of us. Let's begin by saying that, are there any public comments, Rebecca, that you can see?
No, ma'am, we did not receive any.
Okay, very good. So we have two sets of minutes, one from a regular board meeting held on November 19th, 2021, and another one for the special called board meeting held on December 14th of 2021. Let's begin with the regular board meeting. Are there any changes, additions, corrections that anyone noted? Hearing that there aren't any, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes held on November 19th, 2021?
Rose Thompson.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I move that the minutes for the regular board meeting held on November 19th, 2021 be approved as written.
Okay, in a second.
Second, Bob Clemens.
Bob Clemens. Hearing a motion in a second. I vote in favor. Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Dr. White?
Yes.
And Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Okay.
And Donald Nimick is here, and I vote in favor as well.
Okay, very good. Please note that Donald Nimick has joined the meeting and voted in favor of the minutes. Now then, for the special called board meeting, do I hear any changes, additions that need to be made to those? And hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
Bob Clemens, I so move.
Okay, and second?
Donald Nimick, I second.
Okay. I think I heard Donald Nimick on that one.
Yes.
So hearing a motion in a second, I approve. How about you, Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nimick?
Yes.
Dr. White?
Yes.
And Mr. Clemens?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move to the public hearing portion of the meeting, and I'd like to turn this over to Jim Pollock to guide us through. We have a number of items that are associated with this, but Jim, I will let you take over at this point.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. There is quite a bit of information that we're going to go through. And since most of it is information that has already been reviewed, it just has to be presented in a public format in a public report. I'm going to try and go through it as quickly as possible. So this public hearing, it's going to be divided into two parts. The first part is the annual report. And then the second part is our district and campus improvement plans. To begin, the Texas Education Code requires each district's Board of Trustees to publish an annual report that includes several pieces of key information. And this includes the Texas Academic Performance Reports, which there's several pages of those that are contained in the board report. It also includes the Peems Financial Standard Reports, the district's accreditation status, the campus performance objectives, and then information on violent or criminal incidents that have occurred on campuses, and information on the performance of the previous year's graduates in their first year of college. So the Texas Academic Performance Report, or known as the TAPER, is an annual report that pulls together a wide range of information on performance of students in each of our schools and the district, or all schools and districts in Texas. And the performance is shown, and it's disaggregated by student groups, including ethnicity and social economic status. And the report also provides extensive information on school and district staff, programs, and student demographics. And so there are 240 pages of the TAPER contained in this report, but leading into that, we put together a summary, which starts right there on page 22. And it's a longitudinal summary going back to 2015, which is the year we consolidated RMA. And so it's looking at the TAPER results since 2015. For each year, it's color coded so that you can show or see the progression or regression from the previous school year. And so there is one prepared for the district. It provides the STAR performance, accountability ratings as far as CCMR, which is the college career military readiness, graduation rates, as well as demographic information for the TAPER, or from the TAPER, which is the attendance, student mobility, as well as the dropout rates. And so there is one page for the district and then one page for each of the 9 campuses. And then following that summary, we also provided some charts on some of the key indicators that we look at. So the charts begin on page 32, I think, Becky. There it is. And so the first one is the overall STAR passing rate. And this is just looking at students' performance reaching the approaches level. And so from 2017 through 2019, we were steadily increasing our STAR performance to 41%, which is well above the standard for alternative education campuses. But then the pandemic hit in the school year 2019-20. So no ratings were provided during that school year. And so the following year, we did drop, as it did most districts in Texas, we dropped in our performance by 5% to 36%. And that's primarily due to the learning loss due to, they call it the summer slide, and also because of the COVID. So what should have been perhaps 2 months to 2.5 months of regression because of the pandemic, that extended to almost 6 months. And then the next chart is just, no, I'm sorry, go back up a little bit. The next chart is just distinguishing the results for the passing rate for special education students as well as the English learners. So they're similar. We were continuing to show improvement on those two student groups as well until the pandemic. And then after the pandemic, we have some catching up to do. And then the next chart. It does show that the enrollment has declined, primarily again because of the pandemic. But even with the declining enrollment, the remaining key indicators have improved. Attendance was at an all-time high, and attendance is provided in the TAPER. It's a year behind. So they've only provided us information through 2020, but at the 2020 school year, it was at the highest rate we've had, which is 90%. And then graduation rate, as we built the rigor for our district, it has shown steady improvement since 2019. It was continuing to rise. And even during the pandemic, we were able to increase the graduation rate by 2 points. And then the dropout rate has dropped significantly as well over the course of the years from 2015. And we're at it did rebound a little bit, but we're at a low, all-time low of 54% right now. I'm sorry, 18%. She was up one. So the dropout rate has showed steady decline to 18%. And then the mobility rate also declined. These are students that are staying with RMA. So it's also at a low rate of 63%. And so those are pretty much the performance standards. Also included for this public report are other key pieces of information, which is the Peems financial standard reports. And these are the same financial reports that were reviewed during the September 2021 Charter First public hearing that occurred a few months ago. And then that financial information was approved by the board in January of this year. So they're the same financial reports that we've seen. The next section is the district accreditation status. And because the status for or this school year, the status was not issued because the A through F accountability ratings for 2021 school year were not provided by TEA due to the impact of the COVID-19. So no rating was provided, but in determining consecutive years, TA will look at 1920 and compare that to the rating that we'll receive in 22-23. And so for information purposes, the 1920 accreditation status is provided there, which shows RMA was accredited. The next section is another large section. It's the campus performance objectives. And those performance objectives are presented as part of each campus's targeted improvement plan. And because campuses were rated improvement required in years past, they're required to engage in the Effective Schools framework for continuous improvement. And that consists of analyzing their data, going through a needs assessment, developing improvement plans, and then implementing those plans and monitoring them. So all the plans for each campus are included. I know Dr. Gibbons is our district coordinator for school improvement, and she has been working with the campuses and TEA to review the plans and to monitor and improve them as well. And so she has been in contact with TEA, and I believe Dr. Gibbons, she said that we received the highest rating for our plans the last go around when she met with TEA. And so there's quite a few pages of those if you just want to page through those, Becky. The next section is the special education determination. Is that it? Go down a little bit more. Are we stuck?
No, Jim, I'm sorry. I am looking for my table of contents. Here it is.
No, it's way down.
Yes, sir.
There's
Okay,
pages and pages of the
Yes, sir, I'm on
campus.
it. It's page 578. Okay, I'm getting there.
And there is a lot of work that went through for these plans on the campus with the campus administration and their improvement teams. So TEA has been pleased with the results so far. And then, I'm sorry, go back up one more. And that is the special, that was it. Okay, special education determination status. And that we're currently labeled a needs intervention. And this label represents, it's an integrated determination level based on evaluation of results, of the results-driven accountability system, and also the special education program area, as well as 4 federally required elements, which include the state performance plan, for special education, data integrity, any uncorrected noncompliance, which we don't, RMA does not have any, and then financial audit findings. And so they combine all the information from those areas to assign a needs intervention. Ours is primarily assigned because of the RDA results-driven accountability. And results-driven accountability is similar to the state accountability, which is A through F, but RDA is the federal standards, which are quite a bit higher than the state standards and much, much higher than the alternative education standards for campuses and districts such as RMA. And then the next section is a report on violent and criminal incidents that occurred on each campus. And for the 2021 school year, we had no reportable incidents. So we were at 0. And the chart there does show the zeros, but it also shows the description of the reportable codes. So there were no violent or criminal incidents that occurred on RMA campuses. And then the last part is the student performance in post-secondary institutions. And this is during our students' first year enrolled after graduation from high school in a college. And so it provides it for all our campuses, the 2-year public college information, 4-year, if that does apply. And we noted that Midland South is not included, and it's because at the time of this report, they only had 17 graduates that school year. And there's a minimum requirement of 25. And then that's the first part of the public meeting. The second part is the RMA's plan for improvement. And so a major part or a major factor in implementing this plan involves the use of funds. And I know it's small, I apologize, but the district and campus leaders have to consider the implementation and monitoring of our funds in order to analyze their impact and the outcomes of the final results. And then this serves as a guide in future planning throughout the school year to determine if we're going to continue some of the activities or strategies that we have implemented or develop other ones or add to those. So this plan is updated constantly. I'm going back in now and putting in all the information for the recent fall 2021 STAR performance results. So we'll look at that. We'll add that information in as far as it relates to the goals and targets for each campus and for the district. And if you can go down to page 592, Becky. As part of the public meeting, we're also announcing that we're applying for additional funding, which compared to the other grants, it is a small amount, but it's the IDEA B ARP grant. And the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 was provided funding to award supplemental IDEA B formula funding to schools. And so our part of that, go down a little bit more, Becky. I think it's one more page. There it is. So it's in the red, it's new. And it's the IDEA B ARP. Our portion is $85,432 that we're going to apply for. And the use of those funds will be to pay for the associate teacher, special education associate teacher positions that are already existing, and then a new associate teacher for special education for the Lubbock campus because they did not have one as of yet. And the reason that we have to cover existing special ed associate teachers is because of the pandemic and the lower enrollment and attendance rates that we've been encountering. This year we received fewer funds than in years past for regular IDEA funding. And so we were going to possibly encounter a shortage But because of this funding, we should be able to meet all our activities, including staffing that we planned using the regular IDIB funds. Plus now we get an additional AT at the Lubbock campus. And so if you have any comments or questions regarding the application for those new funds, this would be the time that we're open to those comments.
Are there any questions, comments?
Okay, and then one final note regarding the plan, if you can scroll all the way to the bottom, Becky. Part of ESSA, which is the Every Student Succeeds Act, we receive funding for in different sources for ESSA. One of them could have been or could be for migrant students, but we do not participate in migrant students. Funds aren't really offered for a migrant student population because we don't have many, if at all, a migrant student population. But because of the requirements that TA sets forth, we have to add an addendum to the bottom of our district improvement plan, noting how we would use those funds if we did receive them. So that has been added as an addendum to the bottom of our plan. And that is it for the public hearing portion of this board meeting. If anyone has any questions.
Not really any questions, but a comment. I appreciate all the work that went into this. It is very extensive. It will take a lot of looking through carefully. But I do appreciate all the work, the cumulative work that it went into this. And anyway, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, it was a lot of work and a big team effort.
If
Okay,
there are,
thank y'all.
thank you. We greatly appreciate it. Hearing no comments or questions, are we ready to move on to the information items? Okay, so let's begin with the superintendent's report. Dr. Anderson.
Good morning to everyone again. Lots of exciting things going on within the district, even in spite of COVID and everything that's taken place. I would, as customary, like to bring the board with an update of where we are as far as attendance wise, and give some insight on some key issues that affect the district on a day-to-day basis. Page 604, it looks like in the board book, is where this starts at. And I would begin with attendance. Exhibit 1, which can be found on page 608, reflects each of the campuses' enrollment, attendance, and retention, as well as the district's overall district averages. And as of January 19th, 2022, RMA has an enrollment of about 1,613 students, which is an increase of 2 students from the last board meeting. We were at 1,611. ADA is at 73.2%, which equates to 1,181 students being enrolled, and enrollment down 4.7%, which is about 74 students from the last board report that we provided you all. Retention is at 68.3%. Which is down from 77.1% from the last board report that we gave. And so, but overall enrollment continues to remain pretty stable. We have some, our ADA continues to fluctuate. But all of that's contingent upon kids getting COVID, situations due to the pandemic, people having to relocate or whatever that may be. Enrollment continues to remain stable. The district hasn't experienced any significant declines or increases in enrollment over the past 4 months. We started the school year out back in September at around 1608, and you can see there in October it went to 1615, November 1611, January 1613, where we currently are. TEA has stated that the agency recognizes that many districts across the state are experiencing low attendance. And so therefore the commissioner and his team are exploring options to address the statewide issue. We had a meeting or a Zoom with the commissioner yesterday, and he had no updates as how the state would help us with that. Originally, they were going to offer low attendance waivers, but he said those would only cover 2 or 3 days, across the school year. He said, but given that the Omicron variant has caused people to be out for weeks, that they are looking and exploring options as to how they can address the low attendance. He said that many districts across the state are facing the same issue. He said that with the exception of a few districts, but he said for the most part, districts all over the state are experiencing the same effect of this pandemic, and the different variants that are forthcoming. Of course, CDC and some of the others are saying that we should kind of see the tail end around February. Of course, we may see another variant come out by then. So it's just, it's just constantly, unpredictable situation that we're in. The district has built a budget for the 21-22 school year on an average daily attendance amount of 1,207.7 students. As far as our attendance, and currently we're at 1181, so we're slightly below the budgeted amount, and we're still benefiting from the PPP loan of $2 million, which Tammy will talk about how that still gives us a cushion for a surplus, but not a very big cushion for a surplus. And so we are continuing to monitor the resources and utilizing them in a manner that best positions us to continue to operate at a surplus. And, and just given the impact of the pandemic, there does remain a strong possibility that the district could end the year with a deficit. And if we should incur a deficit, the impact will also be felt in the charter first rating. And so we just want to bring the board up to date on that, given the uncertainty of this pandemic, given the attendance issues and the impact that the pandemic is having, and then the normal wear and tear on our attendance over the past historical performance, it does lend itself to the district having a slight deficit. And of course, just letting you know that if that should be the case, which we're doing everything we can to avert that, but should that become the case, we certainly will have an impact on the charter first rating as well. Again, I just want to remind you all that we do have the federal stimulus monies, the elementary and secondary school emergency relief, which was part of the COVID relief package passed by the federal government. We are redirecting and looking at ways to redirect those federal funds were allowable to state to compensate for state funding shortfalls that we may have. The commissioner did make that known that we do have that option where it's allowable to utilize federal funds to kind of cover some of the state funds that we may be running short on. And so Tammy and I and Jim are having conversations about that, and we'll continue to have conversations at looking how we can best do that, within the allowable possibilities, and whether it may be transferring some payroll to the federal grant side and things of that nature. So we're exploring all options to try and ensure that we don't run a deficit on the state budget side. Are there any questions so far?
Yes, sir. I have one.
Yes, sir.
Please help me to understand. I heard you say about the ADA in the budget, and the budget was predicated on the ADA, and we sort of have a slight decrease in the attendance. Will that have an adverse effect on our funding, and will the district have to pay any money back? And I'm not quite understanding. You made it clear, but I'm just not quite understanding the adverse effect this will have based on our funding.
Well, basically, what would happen is the revenue that we get in, the FSP revenue, would not hit the amount that we budgeted for. You know, we bring a budget to the board every year. Well, if we don't hit that 1207, then our FSP monies would be less than what the budget was approved for by the board. And so therefore, we would be short on the state funding side. Dr. White. And so that just means that we would fall short of our budget. Now, if we do have our our reserve fund balance that, you know, basically TA would just balance us out if that were the case. Now, with the PPP loan of $2 million, that helped us with payroll through, what was it, Tammy, September or October? Tammy.
You're muted.
I apologize. You're correct, Dr. Anderson. The PPP money had to be used by the 13th of September.
Yes.
So that's what we utilized it up to that point.
Yeah, so we got payroll for several months, you know, and so that's given us, and when we actually recognize that PPP money is being placed in our account, that will give us a little cushion and we'll still be operating at a surplus. Does that answer your question, Dr. White?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
No question, but to the board, I'm not feeling particularly well. I'm going to step away, and Rose, I'd like to ask you to take over the meeting if you may.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
You will still be connected, but you'll step away, you'll be on, but not presenting, right?
Yes, presenting.
Actually, I might step away. I'm here in San Antonio and I need to head home. So if you don't mind, there will still be a quorum, but thank you so much.
Okay. I hope you feel better. Be careful out there.
Okay. And so basically that talks, those pages on page 605 covers the ESSER and what each of those are appropriated for, which I gave you all the descriptions of that in the last board meeting, the ESSER funds, ESSER 2 and 3, and then the T-class monies. And I just left that in my report so that you all could review that if it's your pleasure. As far as the district staffing, first of all, I want to say thank you to the RMA staff for their dedication. You know, the impact that the pandemic has had on other districts is not being felt as intensely at RMA. And so I commend our staff for hanging in there and being present as much as possible to ensure that our students are getting a good education. And so my hat's off to the principals and all of the teachers and the administrative staff and the assistant teachers and everyone in the district for you know, being here. And this teacher shortage is not as bad for us as some districts are you know, filling as well. And so there are 6 vacant positions across the district. We have a counselor position in Odessa. We have an ESL teacher, which is a new position for special POPs that just has been created for the campus level. And so that hasn't been filled yet. We have a science teacher position in Houston, a science teacher position in Lubbock, associate teacher in Lubbock, and a science teacher in for distance. And so that is as of this week. And so that could have changed, you know, slightly based on, you know, the time frame that we wanted to get this information to the board. And so if you look there, most of our campuses, you know, we have 7 locations that are 100% staffed, 2 locations 90% or above, and 1 location that's 80% or above. And so the district has 173 total positions, 43 substitutes, 13 ESSER tutors. And so we're at a total of 229 staff with the district. Now, also, I'm pleased, and we didn't have him on today because we didn't have confirmation, but we have filled the Midland principal position. As you know, Dwayla Howard left us, who was one of our district instructional coordinators. And so she has moved on, and we have promoted Ms. Thiesfield, Deborah Thiesfield, who was the principal of the Midland campus, to be the new district instructional coordinator to fill that spot that was left vacant by Dwayla. And so we are pleased to also announce that we have hired Mr. Efren Moreno, who is currently an assistant principal in Ector County ISD, who will be starting with us in February as the principal of the Midland campus. And so he's not on today, but we will introduce him formally to the board at the March board meeting. As far as COVID goes, you know, since the beginning of school, we've had 178 positive COVID incidents over the 9 campuses. And you can see on page 606, it breaks down how many positive cases at each campus. And so, Carl, did you want to talk about that briefly?
Sure. I just wanted to touch on this for a moment. I was looking at the numbers this morning. These numbers were pulled about a week ago when we had to get the board book ready. But I did want to let everyone know that the number of new COVID cases has dropped off dramatically this week. We were averaging between 30 and 40 positive COVID cases per week since the beginning of January, and those numbers have dropped. As a matter of fact, I looked at the numbers this morning, and we only had 4 new cases show up this week, and 2 of those were staff and 2 of those were students. So the active number that was pulled last week was 21 active cases throughout the district, and 9 of those were staff and 12 were students. And like I said, we seem to be recovering fairly quickly throughout the district. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention.
Thank you. And you know, we continue to work with our local health officials, the CDC. We continue to work with TEA. And on page 607 just talks about a quarantine update. The CDC did change. Many of you all have heard it over the news and everything. They've changed some of the quarantine requirements, and the quarantine requirements have been shortened for staff. You know, 5 days is the recommended time, and so I just put that on page 607 so that you could see for individuals who are identified to be close contact, 14-day stay-at-home period was previously advised by the CDC based on the incubation period of the virus. The CDC has since updated its guidance, and the stay-at-home period can end for students experiencing no symptoms on day 10. And then also similar to students, school systems must exclude staff from attending school in person who are actively sick with COVID-19, who are suspected of being actively sick with COVID-19, or who have received a positive test result. Based on the recent updates from CDC, staff may return if symptomatic at least 5 days have passed since symptoms onset and fever-free and other symptoms have improved. And for those with no symptoms, at least 5 days after the day they received a positive test. So it's been shortened. And so we were providing COVID leave for 14 days for employees due to the board resolution that was passed last year. And of course, it gave the superintendent discretion to make changes to that. And so we have shortened it to 5 days as a maximum time off for COVID positive test cases. So from the time they submit a test, staff submits a test, or results are positive, then we give them 5 days. Of course, that includes weekends too. If they come with Friday, then Saturday, Sunday would also count as part of those 5 days that we would cover. And we've given that as a one-time, once a year COVID paid COVID leave. So we've adjusted our policy for that. Are there any other questions by the board? Okay, then that concludes my report, Madam President.
Madam Vice
Vice
President, thank you.
President.
Thank you. Appreciate the information. And we will continue with the agenda. We have our financial report coming, information from Tammy, who is our Chief Financial Officer. Tammy.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Good morning, everyone. I've summarized our December financial information on page 609. Since we last met, the PPP loan forgiveness application has been submitted. It's first submitted to Frost Bank, and then once Frost Bank gives it the look over and the approval, then they submit it to the Small Business Administration, and that has happened. They said we should hear back from them before the end of March regarding that application. So we are on track to have that taken care of this year, as Dr. Anderson has indicated. At this point in the year, we have accrued 83 days of state revenue for the school year. And looking at the chart on page 610, this is our average student enrollment. Dr. Anderson did talk about this as well. We are talking about December as we're looking at my reports. These are as of the December financials, and Dr. Anderson's information was more current as of a time in January. So, but as you can see, Dr. Anderson indicated that enrollment is steady. And you can see that from this chart. We're looking at the past 3 years of information. And for this school year, things have remained steady. We're actually up 80 students from the last time we reviewed the financial package in September, or for the September reports. And looking at the attendance on page 610, I think. This is the average daily attendance also for the past 3 years. So again, hovering around 74% for the last 3 months, remaining consistent to coordinate what Dr. Anderson has talked about. And on to the next page. This chart represents our foundation school revenue that we have received so far this year. We budgeted $16.4 million. And we're currently with the lower enrollment, we are recording revenue at $14.1 million. But on a positive note, we did receive a $41,000 FSP adjustment from TEA in December. Since our attendance is lower than this same period in 2019-20, we qualified for those additional funds. And the commissioner is keeping us updated, and they're trying to do as much as they can for schools as they realize we are all in the same position with struggling ADA and enrollments due to the pandemic. So they're trying to help us as much as they can. And on to the next page is our days cash on hand. This is calculated by breaking out the expenses into a daily amount and then dividing it by our cash balance at the end of the month. We have 131 days as of the month of December, which is always our proudest moment. And this would always yield the most points for a Charter First rating, giving us 10 points on that score. And so this is always something to be proud of. And as Dr. Anderson indicated in his report, if we do end up having some struggles this year and not being in as much of a surplus as we had liked, as long as we keep this cash balance up, we may not lose as many points on Charter First as we could if we didn't have this strong cash balance. So this is something to be very proud of for the district. And on to the next page. Through the month of December, we have $9 million in expenses and just over $7 million in revenue, which again represents those 83 days of instruction that we have through December. A very large reason, as we've talked about, for this disparity in those numbers is that we have recognized all of our PPP expenses. but we've not recognized that revenue at this point. We are waiting for the Small Business Administration to give us that final approval. And once that is recorded as revenue, then we'll see this gap close. This page represents our administrative cost ratio, also something to be very proud of with the district. Through December, we are about 13% of our instructional costs. This equation is derived from comparing the functions 41 and 21, which are both considered administrative costs, to our instructional costs, which are function 11, 13, and 31. TEA would consider this a good score, and it would also yield us 10 points on that indicator for Charter First. And this is our ADA to estimated ADA. We've touched on this today as well. We always estimate during the summer with TEA what our ADA is going to be. But as we've discussed, the pandemic has affected everything, and we have a little bit lower ADA than we anticipated, but we have other things that hopefully are keeping us strong this year, and we'll get through it. This is an example of the Charter First indicators for this fiscal year. This score of 80 on this point is as of today. It's not as of where we project to be at the end of the year. The reason why we're losing points right now is because on indicator 10, you can see that our budgeted revenues over the past 3 years are not where we anticipated them to be. Again, there are extenuating circumstances. This particular indicator, number 10, was waived last year. We have not heard that, as of today, TA has not indicated that they're waiving it, but there's a lot of chatter out there that this indicator may be waived again. So we will definitely touch on that when we receive final word from TEA if they're waiving that indicator. And then indicator 12, where we lost the other points, is because we're in a deficit right now, as we discussed the reasons for that. So when that PPP kicks in and we record that revenue, we should see a change in that indicator, number 12, reporting that additional revenue. And this is our income statement for Fund 240, which is the child nutrition, and Fund 420, which is our state foundation account. These are the budgets that the board approves at the beginning of the year. And this is where we are currently with this, with those funds. We are currently at 50% through the fiscal year. We're a little low on state revenue, as we indicated. And then most of our functional expenses are in line. Just a few that look to be a little heavy, and the reasons for those, no change from the last time we talked about the financials in function 33 and function 61. Those expenses were recognized early on in the year, but they will not continue to increase at that rate or that same level. So we've just recognized our expenses closer to the beginning of the year rather than throughout the year. Function 34 is our transportation, and with lower enrollment and lower ADA, we are not experiencing a lot of costs in that area. And function 52, which is our security, is also a little low for this time of the year. That's because our guards don't start until our students show up on campus, which is about in the middle of August. And we also had a change in those services this year, if you'll recall from December. So that led to a little bit lower expenditures in those areas. That's everything I have for you today. Does anybody have any questions for me?
If there are no questions for Tammy, we will proceed. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank
for
you.
an extensive report. And we will continue with the agenda. And the next up is update return to school plans and school operations from my executive director, Carl.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Thompson. So as Dr. Anderson went over in his superintendent report. We have made some adjustments to our back to school plan, which we're required to report to the board and to the safety committees. And that change is that we are now in alignment with CDC as far as the amount of time that staff and students are allowed to be out during the with a COVID related incident. In the plan on page 625, we have highlighted the changes that we made. This, as I said, brings us in alignment with CDC. This also brings us in alignment with what the local health departments and doctors' offices were doing, and we're seeing come through on the notes from the doctors for the teachers and the students. To help the staff be able to understand this information, we added on page 629 a flow chart that describes the amount of time and how to go through that period.
Okay.
And so that's the update that we have that's in alignment with what Dr. Anderson went over in his report. And I have Amy Wood on the line today. If anyone has any questions, we'll be happy to field those for you. And with that, Ms. Thompson, that's my report for that update.
Okay. Any questions for Carl on that part? Okay, we will continue
Okay.
on our facility updates.
On page 630. Oh, did I get that? Hold on just a second.
Ms. Thompson, could you mute your mic, and I'm gonna call you real quick.
So I wanted to give a board an update on some facilities issues that are ongoing, or projects that are ongoing. And we'll begin on page 631, or we'll call it 632, with the update on our Midland lease. So our Midland campus, the lease is due to expire in July 31st of 2022. We have been in conversations with a church in Midland, the Alamo Heights or the Alamo Heights Baptist Church. And we presented the board with an LOI at the last meeting, which we forwarded to the church. We've made some adjustments back and forth. And so we wanted to bring the board a new LOI for this facility, which we will go over in the action items. And I'll have to say that that process has gone rather smoothly, and I think we've done a good job of coming up with a LOI that is both good for us and good for Alamo Heights Baptist Church. So with that, Becky, we'll go down to the next slide. And on this slide, you'll see this is what we call a scatter pattern. These are all of the locations of our current students. And the yellow dot with the blue circle is our current location. And as you can see, the new location, the proposed location, is we would be moving into an area that is more densely populated by our students than we are currently. We'll go down to the next slide, Becky. And on this slide, you can see that not only is it in an area that is more densely populated by our students, but it's also in a more densely populated residential area. So we're hoping that by making this move from our current location to the location at Alamo Heights, it would bring us more students going into the future. We'll go to the next slide. And I wanted to show you guys a picture of the current of Alamo Heights Baptist Church and what we would be doing to actually rent this area. Go back up, Becky, to that first picture. And so the area that we would actually be renting, if you look at the stop sign, the post for the stop sign, if you go to the right of that, that is the portion of the church that we would be renting. There's also a building in the back that we would be renting. This is approximately 15,000 square foot, which would bring us in alignment with what we do at our other schools. Our current square footage in Odessa, in Midland, is only 6,000 square foot. So we would be increasing our footprint considerably. Go ahead to the next slide, Becky. And I have included some additional slides of the exterior of the building, so you can see what we're looking at. I'll also mention that this building is located on Midland Drive, which is a very heavily traveled road in Midland, and we'll get a lot more exposure. We'll go down to the next.
And Carl,
slide.
hold on before you go down. I just want to point out, if you're looking at the picture on the top right, my top right, you see that metal structure sticking up off the top of the building. That's where we're planning on putting the RMA signage also. Correct, Carl?
Yes, that is their fellowship hall, and they would allow us to use that bit of structure that they have there for the RMA signage. So that would give us a little more exposure off of Midland Drive. And we'll go down to the next slide. This is an exterior building. This building we're talking about with the architects about the possibility of putting our media labs out there. So the students would have a media lab and a media department in the back of the building. The bottom slide shows the amount of parking that's available. Parking is always, as the board knows, a big issue with the local cities. They want to make sure you have enough parking. So we would have adequate parking at this location. Go ahead to the next slide, Becky. And these are some interior pictures of the classrooms along the top. On the bottom, on the left, you'll be looking at the sanctuary, which we would have available to us for graduations and assemblies. Over to the right is the fellowship hall, where that structure that Dr. Anderson was mentioning earlier is located. And then the kitchen area, which child nutrition would be able to access, is on the bottom right. So that's kind of an update on our Midland location. We'll talk more about that when we get to action items, when we go over the LOI. So we'll talk a little bit about the Fort Worth location. Our Fort Worth lease is up in 2023. And this lease, we're hoping to be able to either expand in our current location with the possibilities of a purchase at that location, or our preferred site, once again, is located at 7300 South Freeway. We feel that brings us into a better area of Fort Worth, where we would be able to maximize the number of students that we would be able to attract in the future. Dr. Anderson and myself went up and took a look at some additional properties about a week ago, and we still feel that these are our two best options. So we will continue to work those projects, and I'll give the board more information as that develops. Our goal is to get something lined up for this year so that we could possibly start a purchase in September, and then we would be able to do the construction work maybe by the 1st of 2023. If you'll go down to the next slide. Once again, I wanted to show you the areas that we're talking about. Our current school is located kind of in the top to the left, and the new location, the proposed location, is on the bottom to the right. And next slide, please.
And I just want to point out too, that the proposed new location, the advantage of relocating in that area is that three school districts feed into this area. If from right here where the arrow is, if you go to the east, you have Everman ISD. If you go to the southwest, you have Crowley ISD. And if you go a little bit further south, you have Burleson ISD. And if you go north, you have Fort Worth ISD. And so it lends us to a new pool and accessibility to those four districts. Versus where we are currently is mostly, we depend on Fort Worth ISD to feed into us.
Right. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see that the population growth is actually moving in that direction, as Dr. Anderson was mentioning. It's moving away from our existing location and into the area that we're looking at. And so we feel that if we are going to build a building or renovate a building in Fort Worth, that we need to be looking to the future, and that's what we would be doing at this new location. Next slide, Becky. Once again, I just wanted to show you the two most pressing leases that we have on the table are the Midland Lease, which expires in 2022, and the Fort Worth lease, which expires in 2023. Next slide. I wanted to give the board an update on our ESSER 3 HVAC projects. Silver and Associates has completed their site surveys at all the campuses that will be affected. Our current objective is to improve the filtration. Hello, I'm sorry. Our current objective is to improve the filtration to MERV 3 filters at each of these schools. Would be adding UV lighting and bipolar ionization where appropriate and physically capable as an air purifier. And then we would also be replacing all of the failing AC units that we have at those locations. Construction documents are due on February 25th, 2022. RMA plans to solicit bids on this project by March the 18th. Currently the industry is just having issues with equipment delays, partially because of logistics and partially just because of the demand. All of the schools in the country have been given ESSER 3 money, and so we're looking at about a 14 to 16 week delay on getting equipment. So with that said, our anticipated completion of that project is still looking at October to December of this school year. We're currently running about 30 days behind, and that was due to just staffing shortages due to the COVID uprise at the engineering firm over the last month. But we are still on schedule to finish this year, And if we have any issues with that, we would just make amendments to the ESSER application. We do have until 2024, I think Jim told me to spend all of these funds, but we'll finish by the end of this year. Next slide. So the next slide is I'm going to give the board an update on the Raytech construction resources possible suit that we had met about a board meeting or two ago. And RMA's counsel has secured an offer from Raytech Construction Resources to settle the matter concerning damage to property at our Corpus Christi location, that being the parking lot that was damaged when they exited the property. Just to let the board know, the details of that exceed what was covered with the board in closed session on November the 19th, 2021. And Dr. Anderson will be working to finalize that settlement and close that matter out.
So Carl, you're saying that from our last board meeting, we did, it was in our favor, the closing settlement,
Yes.
as
yes,
far as the
ma'am.
funds were concerned. Okay.
Yeah,
So we got more than what we have.
the board had given a minimum floor, and so we were able to get more than what the minimum floor was. Not by much, but we did
But
exceed.
as long as it exceeded what we'd asked for. Thank you.
Yes. And with that, that's my my facilities update for this meeting.
Are there any questions for Carl? If not, Carl, thank you for all of the work that you put into that report.
Thank you, Ms.
And I'm
Thomas.
looking forward to the Midland and the multiple use of facilities that we're going to be seeing carried on there. Our next item on the information is a marketing update. Ms. King, Director of Marketing. Thank you.
Okay, we will get started with the initiatives that have been implemented and are being implemented for the 2021 and 2022 school year. The first thing that we are working on is, and Becky, if you want to roll down to the presentation. Okay, perfect, thank you. The first thing that we've been working on since September is the rollover to Blackboard. Blackboard is going to be extremely beneficial for the district and for each individual campus. It's going to give us increased usability by people that are interested in coming to the district, as well as parents and anyone that's looking for information. It's also going to assist with the promotion of different district initiatives and highlight some of the things that our students are able to accomplish. We are going to have a student-centered focus with the website, and we're coming to a place where we should be almost ready to launch. We were hoping to be finished by the 31st, which is Monday, but we have just a few more things that we're working on. Basically, just a few more pieces of data that we're working on rolling. So, but it's imminent. It'll be within the month of February. I would say within the first 2 weeks is what we're looking at. We're focusing on campus culture and the retention of students by creating student leadership councils, and with the implementation of the student-centered climate to increase referrals. We're also focusing on student recognition, which has been a huge, complete, overwhelming response. It's been more than what we anticipated. The students are very excited and ask how they could be a part of this in the future. So the feedback has been better than what we had anticipated initially. We've also received principal roundtable feedback. We've been trying to involve our principals in marketing solutions for each campus and get some of their feedback as far as what they are looking to see for their individualized campus initiatives because they know their markets as well. And that's been a positive experience because they feel like they're able to take ownership. We're looking at increasing our advertising strategies with billboards, radios, and TV commercials in a few choice markets. We have regulated and aligned social media accounts for each campus. We did have one Facebook account, and now each campus has their own individual account so they can target different community members and build alliances with those community members so that they can do some cross promoting, which is going to help as well. The month of December, our initiative, we had a community service donation. And so each campus chose different community places that they wanted to donate canned foods and different items for individuals that were in need. And they submitted pictures, and there was a different theme for each day for the month of December. And we have some of those pictures, which will be on the next slide. But that was something that was very exciting. And we were really happy to see the feedback that we had. The students, I know in Odessa, this was originally anticipated at being a staff awareness. And then the students asked what they could do to be a part of it. And so Ms. Jansen put the initiative and the calendar onto a poster board at the front of the school, and then the students began dressing up. So this just shows with some of the things that we can do in order to change the culture. There is, the students do want to be a part of these things. So that's a reflection of the staff and student involvement that we're trying to increase. And then here are the pictures of the staff and the students that were involved during the month of December, and some of the donation items that were received that were taken to the different charities. Okay, we're also focusing on the aesthetics of each campus. I've been working with Carl on formulating a plan for increased signage. We did meet with the company that's doing the basketball court branding. I know that they have had a horrible bout with COVID. Their president was out for over a month, but everything is completed, and we will be scheduling a ribbon cutting for the branding of that basketball court in Corpus Christi with the chamber. I did speak to their membership coordinator, and that's going to be something that we're going to do as soon as the branding is finished. And I'm sure that you're aware, but Dr. Anderson did obtain 2 sponsors for that basketball court branding. So it's being sponsored by Frost Bank and also by our benefits provider. And so we will have their names on the basketball court, and we will do an article that's going to be featuring them with pictures, and the newspaper is going to attend the ribbon cutting as well. So that's going to be something that's going to promote our community partnerships and something that we can reference and put on the front page of our website. We do have a Texas Tech marketing initiative, and we are up to 4 different courses that are going to be working with RMA. Mr. Tanton's daughter is completing her marketing degree for her undergrad. And so we have 3 undergrad courses, and then their graduate course is going to be working on a practicum to gather information. The graduate course is statistics. And so they will be collecting information, and then they will be presenting their findings in a presentation format, and they will be receiving a grade. But we felt that this was an amazing opportunity for us to gather data and information from an outside source, because we can never have too much data. And having a new, fresh mindset and different ideas as to what they're seeing on the outside looking in can just help us to be the best version of ourselves as a district. So we're excited about that. We've created PowerPoint presentations for promotion of CTE in multiple campuses at different community events. We have increased our Chamber of Commerce memberships in different cities where we have campuses. We created an alliance with Randolph Brooks, and they're providing membership to everyone that's affiliated with RMA at no charge. So parents, students, they will be able to open an account and will not have any type of a service charge whatsoever. And by offering this to them, they will also provide scholarship opportunities and funding for projects for our students. We have obtained a TSPRA, which is a public relations membership for the state of Texas, which assists with crisis communication with COVID and other instances, and helps with different correspondence needed for parents. It's recommended through TEA. And we are working on scheduling a tour for State Representative Cloud during the first quarter of this year for Corpus Christi, the Corpus Christi campus. We launched our TikTok district challenge for students, and it was a little slow taking off. I think they were hesitant to maybe be the first one, but now we've got Miss White in Lubbock reached out to me last night and asked how they could submit. She said they were very excited. And I know Fort Worth has some people that are going to enter, and Amarillo is entering. Odessa has multiple entries. So we're very excited to see those. And we're going to have some, we're going to have this competition. We're also going to post those on the website. And the theme is not only student retention, but also why RMA? Why is this the best school for you to attend? Why is this the place that you would like to not only attend school, but to stay in school? And so it's to attract students to come to school here and also stay in school here from a student's perspective. And so this is going to be their way of communicating this message. And Dr. Anderson when he came up with this idea, thinking about it and putting this together, it's something that the students can not only take ownership of, but that they can promote for their friends. And we're hoping that it's going to take on a life of its own, and then the initiative will take off, and then we can build other challenges and other contests from this initial contest once they realize it's something that's really going to take off. So we're going to build from there.
And Carrie, I just wanted to also add that, you know, we've confirmed to Carrie and myself, will be going down to Corpus to give the mayor a tour of the Corpus Campus Christi. You know, the building's been there for almost 2.5 years, and the mayor has not yet seen the facility. And so we have finally gotten a date confirmed with the mayor to tour the Corpus Christi facility, as well as the Corpus facility will be hosting the Chamber of Commerce Buenos Dias gathering, where community leaders will come in the area that we're trying to get a CTE sponsor to go into. And so it'll be an opportunity for us to bring business people, the local Corpus business people, to that campus to see it and the beauty of the facility, as well as try and get them to buy into putting some type of business in that section that is designed to be a CTE area. And hopefully we can get students some CTE certifications. And of course, my hat's off to Mr. Showers. He and I went to Corpus, I guess 2 months ago or so, and we were able to forge better relationships with the colleges down there, most notably Del Mar College. And I believe Ms. Hannah informed me at the Superintendent's Roundtable that we have about 22 students in Corpus that are joining the EKG and phlebotomy programs there with Del Mar College. And so that's going to really be beneficial to our CCMR and CTE certifications at that campus. So lots of good things going on at Corpus.
Yes, that's true. And that is one of the cities that we're looking at a TV commercial. And so that meeting took place this week. They're going to come back with a few different proposals, and we're going to get moving on that as far as a commercial and some geo-targeting for ads and different things. But we're excited. The meeting was confirmed yesterday, and hats off to Becky for her due diligence in staying with them. And it's been a hard road to get them to respond, to say the least, but we're excited about her agreeing to meet. So that's wonderful. Okay, so the next, that is a picture of the new website. At the top, you will see that we will have the different areas where they can click on the event calendar. They can click, the school board's going to have their own page. And so on the page, there'll be a link to board book. There'll also be a link to each individual school board member, and that's where they can get their bio information. It'll have a feature. Blackboard is the leading platform for school districts in the United States. They're nationwide, and they're very proficient at providing school solutions for websites. And so I think creating a website that is school friendly and student centered is going to be something that's going to help us with marketing and business development, because I think it's important to feature all of the things that are happening within our district. We're also going to have a required postings button at the top, the contact us. We'll have a staff directory that's going to list every single person that is employed with RMA in one place. And then when you click on our individual schools, if you click on Amarillo, that will have a list of all of the Amarillo employees. So there'll be multiple places for any person that is looking for information to find it. There'll be a listing that is alphabetical. There'll also be a listing that is by department. So it will be the same page, but it'll be listed in multiple places. There'll be the enroll now piece, and then a request transcript button. It's going to be user friendly and something that's going to be easier to understand. And then all of the pictures have links to where when you click on the pictures, it'll also take you to enrollment. And so it's being creative with the thought of, if I was going to sign my child up to go to school here, where would I look for this information? What would I need to do in order to find it with the least amount of clicks? So that's what we're focusing on at this time. Okay, Becky, I'm ready for the next slide. Here is some data for our SOS, student onboarding systems for enrollment. I have it broken down by campuses, and then there's a total at the bottom. Now, the first column is the active enrolled at each campus. The next column is pre-enrolled. So these people have filled out applications and they're waiting to be put into the system. The next column are the people that are in the SOS system and they're waiting to be rolled to the campus. The in progress column is they have just been sent to the campus and they're waiting for schedules. So currently we have 1612 that are actively enrolled in attending classes, but we have 1780 that are waiting to receive schedules. So the 1612 is always under our accurate numbers that are in our systems, because we have a tiny bit of a delay, because they'll start filling out an application and then they'll need to upload their birth certificate, or they'll need to upload different pieces of information in order to go to the next phase and be sent forward to the campus. So those are the most accurate numbers as of Monday of this week. So we're at 1780 for the district within our SOS system. Now here's a little bit of a different scope of things. So we have 1612 actively enrolled, the 82 that are pre-enrolled, 34 in our SOS, 52 in progress, which gives us the 1780. We've had 2,426 enrolled since August 16th of 2021. So that is the number of students that have actually enrolled in RMA. The interesting thing about this number is we have a student mobility rate of 43%. And that's according to the taper report that you received from Jim this morning. They move, I mean, that's almost half of our enrollment. So many times when we hear our enrollment is down, our enrollment really isn't down. We average about 5,000 students that enroll in RMA per year. But because of our demographics and because of many factors that are uncontrollable at a campus and a district level, they enroll and then they unenroll. So as of Monday, we were at 2426, which means we've lost 646 students district-wide, but we're continuing to feed that pipeline. And what we're looking at, Dr. Anderson and I meet about this continually. We speak about it at least once a week, is how can we increase that number that is enrolling in order to make up for the loss? So that's a piece that we're looking at, because that 43% of student mobility is a number that we're not going to be able to affect. Many times they don't respond to phone calls. We don't hear from them. Maybe they'll get, become positive with COVID and then they don't come back, or, there's just things that we're not being informed of. But I thought it was important for you to have those numbers and know that we are actively enrolling, but there are pieces that we're unable to affect. And with a 93% rate of economically disadvantaged, that's also a factor, because there, not only do we have high student mobility, but we also have an issue of moving from place to place sometimes because of the socioeconomic factor. So there's many things that are in place that aren't always discussed, and I just wanted to bring that to light. I believe, is that okay? So the last piece is our education foundation. We are working with Mr. Fred Brown, who is an amazing source of information. His knowledge base is incredible. I've been privileged enough to have a few meetings with him, and he has secured, these are the people, we have many people that he is talking to, but these are the people that have agreed to be board members on our education foundation. The first one is Debbie Riddle. She is from Tomball, which is right outside of Houston. She is a former 6-term state representative in District 150, and she's currently running for her seat again. She is an avid supporter of dropout and credit recovery charter schools. So we feel like she would be very advantageous to have on our board of our education foundation. The next person that has agreed is Dr. Melissa Gonzalez. She is the department chair in the Office of Technology in Killeen at Central Texas College. So he's very proficient at looking at different facets of areas that we're going to need to make up the whole piece of what's going to serve us best in order to remain student-centered and provide the best environment for our students. And so we're very excited about that. He updates us every few days, and I know that he has several that he's sent in that he's speaking to. So by the next time we meet, we'll be able to update you further with the other people that have committed. We're going to have this in place, and I'm going to speak it into existence. I am certain we will have this in place before the next school year, because he has a plan and it's going along very well. So that's our plan for us, and we're excited about it, and it's going to be good. So That is it for me. If anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Any comments or thoughts?
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, thank you very much. I appreciate all that you do. I appreciate you donating your time for us, and you are greatly appreciated with everything. So thank you for all that y'all do.
Carrie King, thank you so very much. And I appreciate you for your vision, your connectivity with the local schools, and how you're looking at expanding in our visibility for our students. Thank you so very much. Okay.
Sam.
My next thing on our agenda are action items. And I think the first one is with Carl.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be talking about the letter of intent for the new Midland location. So the background on this item is at the November 19th board meeting, the board of directors authorized the superintendent or his designee to negotiate lease terms with the Alamo Heights Baptist Church to serve as a new location for our Midland campus. The superintendent or his designee have completed negotiations and have secured a final letter of intent with the agreed upon lease terms. And with that, I'll just hit the highlights of the lease agreement. So this would be a 3-year term, which would begin in August of this year. It has 3-year extensions, which would allow us a total of 12 years of possible leases at this location. The other thing is that we're also asking for a first right of refusal if they decide to sell the church, and we're actually hoping that after the first 3 years that we would be able to purchase this location as a permanent piece of property for RMA. And then the other highlights are currently at our Midland location. Our spend per month or per year is $203,040 or $16,920 per month. The new lease terms would be for $127,500 per year or $10,625 per month. So RMA would see a savings of $75,540 per year, or over the 3-year term, that would be a savings of $226,620. So we think that the terms are very favorable for RMA, and we're asking the board to approval of the negotiated terms. And our suggested motion is I move that the superintendent or his designee be approved to execute the contract based on the attached letter of intent or lease and the property located at, and then the address. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them regarding this lease.
Are there any questions? If not, the chair calls for a motion.
Donald Nemec, I move that the superintendent or his designee be approved to execute a contract based on the attached letter of intent to lease the property located at 1305 North Midland Drive in Midland as a possible location for the RMA Midland campus.
Do I hear a second?
Francis White, I'll second.
Okay. Let's call for a vote. Will you please state your name and the way you're voting, please?
Francis White, yes.
Donald Nemec, yes.
Bob Clemens, yes.
Rose Thompson, yes. The motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next thing on our agenda is Dr. Givens and its revised grading policy.
Dr. Givens, before you start, I did want to just say in regards to this, what has led to this particular policy coming up is, we contracted with our ESSER funds for Mr. Marquez, who was the former CEO of Texas Can Academy, to work with our Pasadena campus and do some consulting work. And one of the things he brought to my attention was that our structure of our ingenuity and, the barriers that were preventing students from actually recovering credits, he felt that was leading to our turnover. And so as Carrie stated, we've all been having conversations across the district about why retention and turnover and all of those things. And so I reached out to Dr. Givens and we had some conversations and we looked at our grading policy and we felt that we just weren't setting up, wasn't conducive to student success. And so Dr. Givens was tasked with going out and kind of looking at the grading policy and some better ways that we could help support students and help them to be successful. And it stemmed from Carrie Ring, who was at a campus, which I'll leave unnamed. And a student said to her, says, "Miss, I have a 16. Why would I continue to come to school?" He said, "Even if I made 100, I couldn't pass this class and get credit." And that bothered me. And so we did go back and we looked at some ways that we could make our grading policy a little bit more conducive to student success. And so that's what leads us to this point. Dr. Givens?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. And yes, a lot of things led to this path. And top of one of the big pushes was when the first reporting came, the first term, and we saw the academic department saw the failure rates, course failure rates. And it was of great concern to me of how many students were failing courses. Okay. And we have about almost a 50% failure rate of a student failing a course, which creates this, I call it the hamster wheel syndrome, where you don't really progress. And then when I started doing my visits to different campuses, and in particular at Amarillo, started talking to the students, and ingenuity came up, talking to the principals with principals meetings. What do you think are the barriers that are causing students to leave and not be successful? And ingenuity came up, the failure rate came up. We wanted to just do policy, but we have to do it correctly. And that's why we have to come to the board to change the grading policy. We can't just change grading policies without your approval. And so I've done some investigating, looking at other districts throughout the state to see how they are doing it, because you can no longer do the minimum grade. Like back in the day, boards could say, well, you couldn't give a grade lower than a 50. Well, that policy is not allowed. So we had to see what can we do to keep instructional integrity and yet help and support our students to be successful, so we can reduce course failure. And it's like a domino. You reduce course failure, then you increase graduation rate because kids, and you also increase retention, because that's another reason why so many of our students are leaving. They're leaving because they're not being successful. And so, and then that's impacting our graduation rate. So with that being said, I'll start right here. Currently, RMA has a course passage rate of approximately 45%. To improve the student retention and graduation rates, RMA seeks to revise the grading policy. The proposed revisions will add instructional accountability and increase student success. These grading policy changes will further RMA's mission of empowering students to graduate prepared to exceed in all expectations. The first one is the 25% reteach and reassess mastery benchmark. If 25% or 50% of AP courses or more of the students in a single preparation per teacher do not demonstrate mastery of the TEKS on a classroom assignment or test, the grade will not be recorded in the grade book. In addition, the teacher will provide the opportunity for reteaching. These opportunities will be provided during class time during different methods, using different methods of instruction. What this is we're holding the teachers accountable for their instruction. No more will you just, over half your class fail and you just move on to the next assignment. This is mandating that teachers take account of where students are as a class. And if a quarter of your class is failing, that means as a teacher, you need to reteach it and reteach it in a different way. And I have more detail at the bottom. And so I'll go through the highlights and then we can go through the details. But right now, are there any questions about that one so far? Okay. The next major point, major change is a grade of 50 or below report at the end of each grading period. Documentation such as teacher gradebook, parent communication log, and tutorial teacher sign-in must be submitted to the campus principal for any student receiving a grade of 50 or below for the 9 weeks grading period. Again, this is making teachers accountable for their grades. When we were looking at grades as a department, we were looking at courses in which literally 100% of the kids in the class failed the course. Yeah. And so what is the accountability when everybody in the class makes a 47 or below? You know what I mean? So we're trying to put things in place where teachers again are being held accountable for their grades. Yes, the state gives them the right. Their grades are sacrosanct, but we can make them responsible and accountable for the grades that they are submitting. Okay. Next is the mandatory mandatory student failure notification. When it becomes evident that a student is at risk of not meeting minimum grade level standards or in danger of earning a failing grade by the end of the 7th week of any grading period, the parent or guardian of the pupil shall be notified. A student may not receive a failing grade without notification. Again, it's just holding teachers accountable, no surprises when a failing grade comes home. Fourth is the grading guidelines for a grade of a 69. A grade of 69 should be recorded as a 70 for the 9 weeks grading period. So in other words, if your 9 weeks grade, no 69 is going home. It needs to be a 70. If you read in the policy, we say, if it's a 79, it's up to the teacher. If it's an 89, that's up to the teacher. We're just saying a 69 needs to be a 70. And this last one empowers students. Resubmission of summative assignments for a grade below 80. All students will be provided the opportunity to resubmit summative assignments after receiving the grade or feedback for each assignment if the grade is below 80 and the assignment was turned in on time. This empowers our students to say, hey, I made a 72, it was a quiz, I get the opportunity to redo that quiz. And there are, guidelines and safeguards so they can't be abused by students. They can only do this once. They have to submit the assignment on time at the first time. So there are safeguards in the policy. These are the major highlights of that policy. Are there questions?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment, and that's that looking at the revision of this grading policy, we will see a difference in our attendance and in our progress, and our dropout rates may decrease because of this one load policy here. I can see it doing retention and dropout. I can see it having a big impact on that.
You know, that, like I said, that was the purpose behind this. Like, when that first grading period came and I got those reports of those failures, it bothered me a great deal. Let's just put it that way. You know, like I said, that's when I started having conversations with Dr. Anderson about it. We had conversations within our department, and a change had to be made. We couldn't continue.
I'm gonna ask if we could speed this part up. We have students that are being recognized in dismissals at 12:06.
Okay, if there are any questions? If not, the chair calls for motion.
Francis White, I'll make the motion. I move to approve the revised RMA grading policy as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Donald Dimick, I second.
If you approve of it, state your name, the way you're going to vote on it, please.
Francis White, yes.
Donald Dimick, yes.
Bob Clemens, yes.
Rose Thompson, yes. Approved. Motion approved. Thank you. Next thing we have on our agenda is, it's always nice to have students. The joy of having the presence of students at our meeting is so wonderful. So next on the agenda is student recognition. Dr. Anderson.
Okay, Ms. Ring.
Yes, I am ready.
All
So
right.
we are going to start today with Miss Davis in Amarillo.
Good morning. I'm Ruth Davis, the principal at RMA in Amarillo, and I get teared up every time I think of her. I'm recognizing Trinity Sandoval. You just tell them.
Hi, first of all, I want to say thank you for the school board for developing such a great district. RMA has really impacted my life. I don't know what I would have done without it. I would have been dropped out by now, but this school has really impacted my life and how I think of school. I just love Miss Davis. Miss Davis is so amazing, and you guys have like a great campuses and stuff. Thank you for providing a district like this. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to move on to Miss Hannah in Corpus.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hanna, and I'm the principal at RMA Corpus Christi. Today, I would like to recognize a group of students who are seniors, and in addition to attending RMA, they are attending Del Mar College and will receive certification in EKG and phlebotomy before they graduate in May. So I'd like to introduce them to you now. We have Johnny Bryant, Angel Thomas, Yolanda Luna, Laura Garcia, Perla Varial, Emiliana Liscano, and Guadalupe Puente. Thank you.
Okay, next we are going to introduce Miss King Sanders with Fort Worth.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel Sanders, and I am the principal of the Richard Milburn Academy here in Fort Worth. And today I am recognizing a recent graduate. At the time she was a senior, but she is a recent graduate, Miss Adriana Williams, for her stellar achievement this year. She came to us at the beginning of the school year. And not only is she a recent graduate, she is recognized as a scholar for Spelman University, and she will be attending there in the fall. So we are very pleased to honor and recognize Miss Adriana Williams. And not only has she graduated with us, she works in the evenings, but she also comes to campus all day long, and she is volunteering with us as an office aide, and she also assists struggling students. So very proud of Miss Adriana Williams.
Well, good morning. My name is Adriana. I just want to say thank you all for this great opportunity. I just want to let you all know, especially the board and however the group is. I feel like RMA was a place needed for children like me in Hvac, because I was one of those kids. I didn't fit in like too good in the bigger population schools, like the bigger high schools. And when I found out about here, it was just so much calming and relief. And then Miss Sanders and all the other staff here, they're so wonderful, and they just help you to get through, because sometimes life gets hard, and you know that support that you have, it'll get you a long way. So I would just like to say thank you to all you guys. I really appreciate you guys for having me here.
Thank you.
Okay, next we are going to feature Mr. Nato James in Houston. Is Mr. James on?
Mr. James, we can't hear you. You're muted or your volume's down. Let's jump over to Ms. White while Mr. Nato gets his, Mr. James gets his volume set. Ms. White.
She may not be ready. Let's do Colleen.
Hello, I thought Colleen was next. Go ahead. Hello, board. My name is Tiffany Thompson White. Thank you so much for letting us participate in this meeting today. I'm the principal of RMA Lubbock. We are the Roaring Lions, and I'd like to acknowledge some of our students that received their OSHA certification because of board approval this year. And two of our participants will be here in a moment. Alante Young, Xavier Webb, Matthew Barden, Dylan Vega, Brian Gonzalez, Azra Infante, and Tatiana Barron. Of those 7 students, 3 graduated in December and 2 are here to give their thanks. The 2 that are here are Alante Young. Hello. And Dylan Vega.
Hello, I would just like to appreciate the board for giving me the opportunities and for recognizing me for completing said opportunities you have given me.
Thank you so much, Alante. And Dylan is also a recipient of OSHA 30. They spent 30 hours getting their OSHA 30 certification. Dylan, do you have anything to say?
I would just like to say thank you for the opportunities that I have gotten since I came here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. That is our students at RMA Lubbock.
Wonderful. Let's go to Ms. Coleman or Dr. Coleman, excuse me, in Colleen.
Good morning. This is Dr. Coleman, principal at Richard Milburn Academy. And I have 3 students to recognize for you guys this morning. One had perfect attendance for the whole first semester, and he's unable to be here today, but he won the iPad that we had for perfect attendance because he did not miss a day the entire first semester, which is huge for us. He is the only one, actually. Yeah, the only. And then we have Elijah, his name was Elijah Haynes. And then I had Wesley Attaway. He was a student that he came to us with 2 credits. When he came to us, he had 2 credits. He was 17 years old, and he has just persevered and done very well in our organization. He has completed all his classes for the last 2 semesters. And his mom is really proud of his progress because he was not successful at Killeen ISD at all. And then today I have Jasmine. So I have to tell you guys about Jasmine Carlton. Jasmine came to my orientation in the summer before school started with her sister. Her sister was a student. And so she was just coming with her sister to the orientation. And she heard the orientation and was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. Because she had already given up on high school, but she came in with 16 credits. So I went over her transcript, told her the possibilities. She's graduating in March. Guys, she has an incredible story. And I just want to say congratulations. And we are very proud of Carlton and her perseverance.
I just want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to her for the most, because she really motivates me a lot. And I don't even know. I don't know what to say, but I really want to thank all of y'all for even creating this whole everything for me to even get this opportunity to come back and get all of this. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
So that concludes Colleen campus. Thank you.
Wonderful, perfect. Okay, so let's move on to Ms. Thiesfeld in Midland.
Good morning, school board. Thank you for allowing us to present our students to you. We're so proud of them. I am not currently on campus, but I've got Miss Katie Roach on campus. She's my counselor, and she has my students there. So we want to recognize two of our students. And the first one is Mariela Sigala Paz. And Mariela, give us a wave. She's was nominated by our staff. Mariela is being recognized by our staff. She is such a hard worker. She has an amazing positive attitude. And in the time that we've known her, she has not at any time ever let her language barrier or anything else get in the way of her learning. And she is just an amazing young lady, and we cannot wait to see what kind of success she's going to have. Would you like to say something, Mariela?
She said thank you. I don't know if you could hear her.
Okay. And then the second student that we would like to recognize is Mr. Sonny Carrasco, and Mr. Carrasco is sitting there next to Mariela. Sonny was nominated for our staff. He is an amazing young man. He has had some very significant personal struggles that he has overcome. He has not been in school since the 6th grade until this year. And this young man is determined that there is nothing at this point that is going to stop him from succeeding, from getting his education. He is very determined. And his plan when he completes his high school graduation is to go on into law enforcement. And so, Sonny, we want you to know that your teachers and everybody at RMA Midland are 100% behind you. And would you like to say anything to the board?
Hello, my name is Sonny, and I would like to thank the Board of Trustees for this opportunity to be recognized and for all that they do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny and Mariela. Thank you, school board.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. Okay, let's go ahead and feature Ms. Jansen, who is in Odessa.
Morning, everyone. It's good to see you all.
Good to see you.
Miss you, Miss Thompson. You need to come see us again.
I shall.
So I have Wilson Ward with me, and we're kind of close, but not close enough that we're both in the picture at the same time. Wilson is being honored today for perfect attendance for the fall semester, and I have a couple of goodies to give him. He didn't know he was going to get goodies. So
oh yeah.
This is Wilson. Hold up your hoodie for us.
Oh yeah, good city.
He got a sick RMA hoodie today, and I have a Logan's gift card.
Oh, what?
For
Okay.
$25. So he and I were just having a discussion about the cost of going out to eat. So Wilson is an awesome student. He comes straight to us from work. He does the morning shift at McDonald's down the road from us. And then he comes and hangs out here until it's time to go to school. You have something to say?
I would say, thank you, Arme.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we will go to Pasadena with, I won't say her name correctly, Ingrid, and we will feature you next. It's Baker, and say the last name for me.
Good morning. This is Miss Baker Irahone, and I am here with two of our amazing scholars at RMA Pasadena. I have with me two seniors, Danya Acosta, and I have Brittany Hernandez. And so we are recognizing them today. We're recognizing Danya for outstanding academic performance. She is on point to graduate in May. And we have Brittany, who is an outstanding leader on our campus, and she can often be seen coordinating community events on campus. So I'll give the floor to Brittany, who will have a few words at this time.
Hello, I want to thank the board because they're giving me a second chance. My mom had passed away in 2017 and I had dropped out. And when I found out about RME, it's helping me a lot, and I get to finally say that I'm graduating from my mom.
Thank you.
So thank you all for this opportunity to recognize these amazing scholars over at RMA Pasadena.
Wonderful. Okay, and last but not least, we have who is having technical difficulties. We now have Mr. James with Houston.
Okay, I logged back out and logged back in. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Once again, I am the proud principal of RMA Houston, Mr. James. I am recognizing today Ms. Diana Dubon. She is one of our younger students. She's a sophomore. She's one of those students that if you don't notice who she is because she's so quiet, you won't know all the great things that she does and all the achievements that she has. And so for Diana Dubon, she has received AB honor roll for the whole fall semester. She's also received perfect attendance for the first or for the whole fall semester. She's also was the highest rated ELA student for the TSI, and this is all of RMA. So she is a sophomore, and she scored the highest for juniors, seniors, sophomores, for everybody for her ELA scores. And she also got nominated as our most improved student. I was not here the first year when she came to us from Klein ISD, but I know that according to some of the teachers that she did have some struggles when she transitioned here. And so they did vote her as the most improved student. And for our term up event at the end of the year, you can kind of see it. She received, these are all her awards, and she also received the iPad that was given to us from the board. So she's an amazing student. Sometimes she goes unnoticed because she doesn't talk. So I'm hoping she can talk right now, but her actions definitely speak louder than her words. Ms. Dubon.
I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees for allowing me to be recognized and for what they do for RMA and RMA Houston. And I'd also like to thank RMA for the iPad I received as a product of my hard work.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so this concludes our student recognition. I do know that we also have a presentation that was put together. It's not too long. It was done by Ms. Thiesfeld and her Midland students. And Ms. Carrillo was kind enough to get that ready to show for us, and we're going to do that now.
Wow, our school board, how self-sacrificing are they? This is an unpaid position they have that changes and affects the lives of students all across the state of Texas. Just like these.
Thank you, school board.
Woo!
School board members make a significant commitment to place the interests of the students. They serve at the forefront of every decision they make. Thank you, school board.
2, 1. School board members make the difficult decisions knowing they cannot possibly make everyone happy.
Thank you. Because school board members hold a public office, they and their decisions are subject to public criticism. Thank you, school board.
Thank you.
School board members are one of the most crucial and yet often overlooked components to a successful school district. Their contributions are often minimized or entirely ignored, while their faults are often magnified or even vilified.
Thank you.
Thank you, school board. School board members are your neighbors and your community members. They are heavily invested in the success of the community in which they serve. Thank you, school board.
The school board adopts or approves the district budget, making sure all of the hard workers in schools receive fair and timely compensation, and keeping the daily operations of the district running efficiently.
Thank you.
Thank you, school board.
Put simply, the school board exists to oversee the activities of the school system so that the students can have the best possible experiences and outcomes.
Thank you, school board. School board members are advocates for educational experiences. They are the biggest champions of those working at a campus level to ensure that the district vision becomes a reality. Thank you, school board.
The school board is responsible for maintaining governance standards, managing the superintendent, reviewing policies and evaluating policy implementation, reviewing budgeting and finance, and evaluating instruction and education.
Thank you, school board.
You have a difficult job, school board, one that is made even more so by the impact of your decisions on our young people. Thank you for your hard work, your adherence to the promotion of the vision of RMA, and your wisdom and leadership.
Thank you, school board.
Okay, so this concludes our board recognition and student recognition segment. And I just want to again say thank you for all that y'all do.
And Becky would like to spotlight Fort Worth again one more time, I believe. So Becky.
Yes, ma'am. I noticed you sent a message through the chat box and we wanted to see if you'd like to bring that out.
Oh, well, sure. Thank you. As I was sitting here talking to Asia, I did not realize that she had perfect attendance first semester as well. So I just typed that in the chat. So she was doing all of her other great things, she was also coming to school every day. So hats off to Asia for that as well. Thank you, Ms. Rojas, for allowing me to say that, and Dr. Anderson. Thank you.
I appreciate the students and the staff for helping organize this, as well as Ms. Ring. And we certainly are proud of the students that we serve here at RMA and congratulate them for their successes and their accomplishments.
On behalf of us, I have one thing. On behalf of the school board, I just want to say thank you to all of the students. And I'm here only because of you. And thank you so very much for all that you're doing to keep us afloat and making us shine.
Any other board members? Comments? Then if not, we would like to take this time to, from the central office and all of the RMA staff, the 229 or 173 full-time employees, we want to say thank you to our board members. Hopefully you received your packages that we've sent you all. They should have came in yesterday. If not, let Becky know. We certainly appreciate you. You know, I want to make it known publicly. Our board members get no compensation for their service, but we are fortunate at RMA to have a board that has a servant heart, and they do it because of their passion for the students. They do it because of their passion for education, and they do it because of their servant heart. And so Mr. Clemens, who is new, and Mr. Nemec, who are both new to the board, they were eagerly willing to serve, and they do it with compassion and care. And they are the overseers and the armor bearers for this district. And so I thank you, Mr. Clemens, for your gift that you bring, your financial aspects, and your interest to ensure that RMA is sound financially as well as operational. Mr. Nemec, we thank you for the wisdom that you bring from the legal aspect, as well as your compassion and care for the students that we serve. And Ms. Thompson, always, who is a returning board member, we thank you for your commitment to the organization for the past 4 or 5 years now that you served on our board. And she is an advocate for students, without a doubt. And of course, I couldn't forget Dr. White, who has been on the board for a long time. And he does it all the time. And he, like Mr. Nemec, they both tell me all the time, I'll go along with it as long as it's good for kids. And so we thank you all for your dedication to the students, the staff, the families that we serve, and the communities that we serve. So we certainly appreciate you on this January month in which has been designated for board appreciation.
Thank you.
Any other staff members have words or of encouragement for our board or anything else? Any other staff?
Yes, sir, Dr. Anderson. Yes, I would like to express appreciation so much. Each one of you brings this beautiful gift to the table. And as my email said, we cannot do this without y'all. So thank you so much. Please know that you're very, very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from staff? Okay, then I turn it over to you, Madam Vice President, and the board.
Okay, thank you so very much. And the next item on our agenda after is it says closed session, but I think because we have discussed the RATAC situation, if you don't have any other discussion, we may skip the closed session. If you need a further discussion, we can go into closed session, but I think it kind of cleared it up when you said we got all that we asked for and more. Anybody from the board need additional?
No.
If not, we will accept that agreement. All in favor? Mr. Clements?
Yes, I'm in favor.
White?
Yes,
Dr. White?
yes, I'm in favor.
And I say yes, so we will skip the closed session. And the next thing is, do we have any public comments, Becky?
No,
Any
ma'am,
public
none came in during the board meeting. No, ma'am.
Okay. If there are no comments, then this concludes our board meeting. And I declare this session closed, and our next meeting is April 1, 2022 at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
Yes.
We appreciate you taking over. It was really smooth and nice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
to our board. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm in tears. That was so wonderful. I felt